Welcome, Kavita, to the Gen Z, Voice of Gen Z podcast with Climbs.
Hi, thanks.
It's very, very nice to have you here. And we're super excited to partner with Spicta as of a month ago. And, we've grown to really admire your brand quite a bit for very many reasons. One said, being a trendsetter in the oral care space as a truly sustainable brand. And secondly, for just like trying to create a movement around it. Like oral care, it's such a, people just assume, we all assume that, the practices we have, they are the default status quo practices, but nobody really thinks about changing up those habits and practices. So we'd love to really start there. What's the origin of Spicta and what made you want to go after this, like really root, behavior that every human being has of waking up in the morning and just brushing their teeth?
Yeah. So I think if we go deeper and try to understand why we launched Spicta or what was the rationale behind launching something in oral care. Oral care is something which all of us just consider as a mundane routine, not something to actually look forward to or something that you would like to do. So then we went a little deeper and tried to understand that why is this so? I mean, why do people just think that, okay, I've brushed my teeth and I'm done? Why don't they enjoy their overall experience when it's something that they start their day with, and they ideally should, but I don't know how many of them end their day also with brushing. But if it's something which you begin and end your routine with, why is it something which is so boring? So then we went a little deeper. We tried to understand what is the brushing routine like, what are the kind of products that consumers are using today. So that's when we understood that, there are all of these set traditional brands which most of us have been using since the last so many years. And they're using the same old formulations, the same old flavors, the same. I mean, there's not been actually any innovation in terms of the products which they are using. They're filled with toxic chemicals, harmful chemicals, and there's just one mode of communication that, hey, use this toothpaste or use this mouthwash because it kills germs, it fights bacteria, it prevents cavities. So it's all around killing and fighting and all of that. But somewhere down the line, the core essence of care, of caring for your teeth, of caring for your mouth, that has gone away. And why is that so? Because these brands use a lot of harmful and toxic chemicals to bring a certain effect. But can't there be a natural replacement to that? Can't there be a safe, natural, chemical-free alternative to our oral care products? So when we started understanding what are the pain points of the consumer, like why don't they like brushing their teeth, or what is it that they're looking for in their oral care products? So just take a very simple example of your overall brushing journey. So what does a consumer want? They want freshness. They want a good taste. They don't want bad breath. For that matter, people who use a mouthwash don't even like that burning sensation or the bad taste that it leaves. So we understood each of these points in the consumer journey, and we decided to curate products in such a way that it actually solves for the consumers. It addresses these needs for the consumers. And when we went deeper and we saw that what are the kinds of ingredients that the current brands are using, can there be natural alternatives to that? So you don't need chemicals to prevent bacterial growth when a green tea extract can do that. You don't need chemicals to strengthen your gums when aloe vera leaf juice or pink salt can do that for you. So that's what we thought, that why not replace all of these harmful chemicals with natural alternatives and make the overall brushing experience a safe, natural, and yet a very refreshing and enjoyable experience for the consumer. So that was the reason why we decided to do something in oral care.
Safe, natural, and overall just satisfying, right?
Yeah.
To an otherwise routine habit. Because I think brushing your teeth is literally the synonym for habit. Like you say, can we make something as simple as brushing your teeth?
Yeah.
Right? And you're actually trying to take brushing your teeth and make it as simple but also fun and satisfying.
Right, and it's something like, you think so much about your what you use for your hair or what you use for your skin or the kind of food that you eat. Why not oral care? Why not start becoming conscious about the kind of products that you're using for your mouth every day? And why not, know what is the product that you are using, and why not use safer alternatives for that?
Yeah, and interestingly, in India at least, we've had a history of very natural oral care.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People have always used barks of like neem trees and stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
To
And
maintain
for that
their
matter, if right now you say that, I prefer a toothpaste because it foams and I don't feel clean if my toothpaste doesn't foam enough. The thing is that foaming is actually sulfates, which is causing the foaming in your mouth. But like you said, right, the entire, if you go back to using a datun stick, that never foams. So you didn't feel a need for a foaming toothpaste at that point. Now when all of these brands have come in and they've sort of put in a set behavior in the consumer's mindset, you start thinking that, okay, if my toothpaste doesn't foam, it doesn't clean well. But
no, fully, and this is a symptom of the entire like last 40-50 years of advertising too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
it's called manufactured consent.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of the choices we exercise now, they've actually been designed into our life when they were never natural choices anyway.
Yeah.
So like foaming toothpaste is a manufactured choice.
Yeah.
Right? And the natural way is actually not to foam. So very, very interesting insight from there. What do your consumers have to say about this, and how has their reaction been to having a far more natural, far more sustainable, far more refreshing experience?
So I think to start with, so we've launched 3 products right now. So that's with a very, very new and innovative flavor, which is never seen before in the market. So the first toothpaste is a cucumber mint toothpaste with pink salt. Then you have a ginger mint toothpaste with thyme, and you have a peach mint mouthwash. All of these are alcohol-free, SLS-free, fluoride-free products. And the consumers have simply loved it. I mean, the response has been really, really good. They've loved the flavor. They've loved the aftertaste. They've loved the freshness. They've come back and told us that, we now actually like brushing and we look forward to brushing. We used to shy away from brushing earlier, that, it's okay, I'm bored, I don't want to brush. But now they actually make it a point to brush their teeth regularly. In fact, people have loved the flavor so much that they've started coming back to us and asking us that, which is the next flavor that you are launching? Can you try this flavor? Can you try that flavor? So it just reinforces the fact that people just don't want the same old boring mint toothpaste. They really, if you give them a very good experience, if you give them a very fresh and good aftertaste in their oral care routine, they are more than happy to enjoy their brushing and form brushing a regular habit.
Yeah, and it's a testament that you've found product market fit or are finding it if you're getting people to actually brush more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people typically brush the normal amount that they do, right? You wake up and you brush. You're getting them to start brushing more. That's reinforcing a good habit. So that's incredible.
In fact, people know that they need to use a mouthwash, but they've not been using it because the current mouthwashes, they have alcohol, right? So it just gives them a very harsh and burning sensation. Some of them have even complained about ulcers, but because we removed all the chemicals in that, they've gradually started forming, including these products in their regular habits. So that's a very big thing that people are. Even those who are conscious about using oral care products regularly, about taking care of their teeth, but not able to find the right set of products to do that, they've sort of started finding some better alternatives to their traditional oral care brands.
Lovely. And how would you describe your audience, your consumers? What are the common practices or beliefs or traits that they have that you've discovered?
So I think the early set of consumers are those who are looking for something in natural oral care, in basically somebody who uses natural skincare products or natural hair care products, who are conscious that there needs to be natural alternatives in their daily routine. That's one set of customer base that we've identified. There is one which is a large set of customer base who think that, it's just a routine. Oral care is, or for that matter, anything that they do, like maybe washing their hair or anything, it's just a part of the routine. So for these set of consumers, we're looking at building more and more awareness on what they're missing out by not taking proper care of their teeth, and what is in for them if they just switch to a Spicta product, and how can their overall experience be very enjoyable.
And I think this naturally leads into one of the common traits and values that we have seen, at least in your audience, and how you describe your brand and the choices you're making as a brand, which is toward the more sustainable route. So natural is one, which is alcohol free and foam free and everything free.
Yeah.
It's just completely natural. But actually building the brand into a more sustainable brand in terms of plastic and in terms of carbon too. How did that come about? Like, what was the thinking around it? Why did you actively seek out those choices to be able to enable them toward your consumers?
So I think sustainability was one of the core principles that we wanted for our brand. We started to understand what can we do, what are the kinds of things that we can do, and that's when we realized that there is I think the most common trend right now, that you use a bamboo toothbrush, your oral care is sustainable. That's not the. I mean, that's not.
It's not it. It's just such a scam. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you what your opinion about it is. We can come to that.
Yeah. So I mean, that is one part of changing your routine when you move from your disposable plastic toothbrushes to a bamboo toothbrush. But there's a lot more. So I mean, when we each toothpaste tube that you use, that has so much of plastic and so much of carbon footprint that goes into the entire manufacturing. So right from the raw materials to the manufacturing, the packaging, distribution, in every cycle there is some amount of carbon emission and plastic which goes into it. And no matter what you try, you do a recyclable packaging, or you have these take back the returnable product packaging. No matter what you do, there is still going to be some amount of carbon emission and plastic emission that's going to happen. So we thought that why not address this at the core and try to understand that how can we do something to sort of reduce or do our bit to help the environment from our products. In fact, there was a study that we were reading. So it's a WHO report which says that roughly about one person uses around 6 toothpaste tubes in a year, so each about of say 150 gram or so. So that leads to about 10 kg of carbon footprint from one person in a year. And if you see India alone, that would essentially be 5 billion kilograms of carbon footprint from a toothpaste alone in a year. And
wow, that's 5 billion kilograms from just toothpaste tubes.
And I'm not even consider, I've taken all conservative numbers in terms of number of people using a toothpaste and all of that, not even including the number of toothbrushes used or the mouthwash used. So you can just imagine the kind of carbon emissions from a simple product which we use every morning. And that's when we thought that it's time to make consumers more aware and more cognizant of these facts, and that replacing say a plastic bag with a cloth bag, or replacing a plastic spoon with say a bamboo spoon, that's fine. Those are steps to reduce plastic and carbon from the environment. But there's a lot more in your day-to-day products which you are probably not even thinking of or not even aware about. So that's when we decided that we want to do something in terms of sustainability, in terms of being a truly sustainable oral care brand in India. And we want to involve consumers in this journey. So when we tell them that, do something for the environment, you contribute to the environment in such a way, that's when they start becoming more aware of the kind of carbon emissions that's coming from that they're releasing from their day-to-day products, and how they can also play a part in this entire movement towards sustainability and a sustainable environment.
You just described Generation C, what we call Gen Z, Generation Climate so well.
Yeah.
Because this is actually the movement that is happening right now, right? It's not people who are bound by one ethnicity or one age group.
Yeah.
It's not Gen X, Y, or Z. It's Gen C. And it's people
Yeah.
who across all age groups, across all ethnicities, who are starting to care. And who are just saying, hey, like, I actually want to do something for climate action. Sustainability, right? Give me a choice. That's all they're saying. Give me a choice. Give me better choices that I can actually practice too. Because I think something you mentioned earlier, we can cut our emissions, we can cut our footprint with better choices, but there will always be a balance in residual emissions, right?
True,
we can't stop consuming. We will have to keep consuming.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that? So at Clients, we believe measure first, second, cut what you can, third, neutralize what you can't, because there will always be a balance, right?
Of course, So
definitely cut down on your energy emissions, cut down on your waste, cut down on your plastic.
Yeah.
But the residual, you must have a choice to at least see it.
Yeah.
And then have the choice to, neutralize it by paying and buying some credit.
I mean, you can't go 100% carbon free or plastic free, but like you mentioned that, neutralize whatever you can't.
Neutralize what you can't and then have the choice, right? To decide what to do with that money also. Collect credit and then actually choose projects of your own choice. I think that awareness as a first step is such an important touch point for Generation Climate. And there are so many people out there who are actually looking for these sorts of choices now. And are rewarding brands that are becoming the partners in this journey.
True.
I think brands are really the partners, the enablers and partners. And that's why what Spicta is doing by having opted in for plastic and carbon, I think is an incredible first step. And I'm sure there's a long way to go from here too.
Yeah, of course,
So in terms of other brands that you really admire and respect, values-wise, when you were starting to build Spicta globally, what brands have you found that have followed a similar journey in terms of really making sustainability a core part of their DNA?
So I think a few brands that come to my mind. So there are these. So globally, I'm talking about a global brand. So I think there is a brand called Happy, which is also into oral care. There's a brand called Bites. So what these brands do is they're saying that like what I mentioned earlier, that no matter what kind of mode you use, you will still there will still be some amount of carbon emission and plastic emission. So what these brands are doing is they're changing the entire form of the toothpaste itself. They're saying that let go of your paste form toothpaste and hence you let go of the tube itself. And they're transitioning to something called as a toothpaste tablets, which are these small tablets which come in a glass bottle. And they are doing something, where sustainability is in the core, like right from the product. They're changing the entire behavior of the consumer. Of course, those are really great steps because they're doing something, to actually reduce carbon emissions to a great extent. But obviously, I mean, the Indian consumer is still not there that, they start replacing their normal paste with a tablet. But I mean, these are the kinds of brands who are actually doing something very breakthrough in their overall.
And that's incredible because behavior change is the hardest thing to engineer into society. Behavior change for some positive outcome, right? And it takes so long to take root, but when it does, that's when like incredible things really happen, right? So in Spicta's journey, you mentioned, that people have actually started brushing more because of the flavors and the natural instinct that the products have. But fast forward 5 years from now, what behavior shift do you think Spicta would have designed into society?
I think one is the fact that there can be toothpaste or there can be oral care products which are truly natural. I mean, the biggest misconception that people have is herbal is equal to natural. That's not the case. So even if you are using a herbal toothpaste today, it still has a lot of chemicals in it, and that doesn't make it truly natural. So I think that's one big shift that we want to bring in a consumer's mindset, that oral care as such can be natural, can be chemical free. It can obviously be safe and toxin free, and it can be something which you look forward to, because, and it need not be, it is not a boring routine. It is not something which is something that you just need to do and get done with it, but it's something that you actually enjoy doing, and you start gradually moving towards brands that give you a very enriching overall oral care experience and are yet effective, rather than just the same set of traditional brands who just claim to do a certain set task. So that's in terms of the overall oral care routine. In terms of sustainability, also we see that there should be a gradual shift in the consumer's mindset towards sustainable brands, towards sustainable products, and consciously opting for those brands who consider sustainability as their core principle when they are building the brand.
So sustainability starts off as the core value, and then you build a brand around it. Rather than it coming later.
I mean, even before we launched, we knew that carbon and plastic are the two things which we want to address. Like, a lot of brands do that as a post facto. I mean, after launching, they tie up with some initiatives for plastic neutrality or carbon neutrality. But we as a brand decided that we want to do it even before launch. So that's how deep sustainability is rooted in the brand's principle.
Yeah, right at the beginning of your journey, I think that's when we also got connected. Right? And from the very get-go, you've embedded clients as a feature and left it to your consumers to decide right, if they want to do something about it. That's lovely. There's this interesting, within the product design or product building world, there's always this analogy between is your product a vitamin or a painkiller?
Yeah.
So vitamins are like adding, more joy typically into your life, and then painkillers are relieving some pain. And all products are either one of the two, typically. These good products, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at oral care throughout its history, it's always been a painkiller.
It's a pain,
Right?
Yeah.
And now you're taking that jump where you're trying to turn a painkiller product into a vitamin and say you can actually have fun brushing your teeth. You can really enjoy this experience.
That's actually a very good analogy that you brought in. I mean, that's a very good way of putting it across.
Yeah, so not only can you feel good brushing your teeth, but you can also feel good about the fact that you're doing it with products that are better for the planet. Right? So good for you, good for the planet. And I think that's the combination of brands, or like brands that embrace that combination of values are the ones that are going to take us into the future too, right? Are there other brands that you consume from that you're truly a big fan of, not just in oral care, but in food, fashion, or transportation, that you have found to embrace similar values as Spicta?
I mean, actually, I'm not able to recollect any.
Maybe the wave is just starting now. Maybe brands are starting to get on board, and wake up to the challenge now and make it a core priority of theirs. But for the ones who are thinking about it across the spectrum of consumption, right? The ones who are thinking about it but don't really know where to start, what would you advise them?
I think what we did as a brand was that we didn't want to go into like when we talk about sustainability or when we talk about carbon neutrality, we didn't want to go into a lot of gimmicky things, if I would say. Like we wanted to address these issues at the core. So as a brand, it's very important that you sort of understand right from the core what is the kind of, if you want to be a truly sustainable brand, right from the manufacturing process to the distribution process to the consumption process. That's the entire cycle that a brand needs to understand and solve for sustainability at each step in the entire product life cycle, right from the manufacturing to the consumption to the disposal, not just focus on the a disposal part of it. So right now, what a lot of brands are doing is that they want to move towards sustainability, but they're more focused on the later part, like after the consumer purchases the product and the disposal part.
End of life, right?
End of life, yeah. So that's what they are more focused on, but they're not really considering the right from the manufacturing part till the time it reaches the consumer. So if a brand truly wants to be sustainable or truly wants to do something for the environment, it's very important that you address these issues right from the time of manufacturing. So that's the kind of outlook that needs to change.
In the carbon accounting or the life cycle accounting terminology that we have to always come up with a carbon footprint on different products. It's either cradle to grave, so birth to end of life of that product. Cradle to gate, which is what you're describing, right? From the birth till the time it's shipped to the consumer. But a lot of brands, in your opinion, are doing gate to grave, which is only from the time that it's bought by a person till the time it's destroyed. Right? That's where some really cool companies also come in, where they're coming and picking up or they're doing refillables, right? If you're shampoo bottles and shower gel bottles and stuff, which is also an important part of the value chain. But it solves only that piece of it. The gate to cradle. So the gate to grave.
And also the refillable bottles or the refillable packaging for that, or maybe say a lot of brands also want to do say a non-plastic packaging kind of a thing. But there is a lot of like if you look at the overall cost part of it, there is a lot more cost involved, or maybe we don't have the right set of raw materials available in India to manufacture these kind of packaging products, or you don't have the right set of packaging material. So that's where a lot of brands think that, okay, I want to do something, but I can't because of XYZ reasons. And even we had those challenges. Like we wanted to do a couple of things, but we didn't have the right set of resources, or we couldn't find the right set of resources. So that's when we decided to find brands and partner with brands like clients for that matter, who could partner with us in this journey. And I mean, it's when you want to be sustainable, there shouldn't be an excuse that this is not available, so I can't do it. You need to find ways around it, and that's exactly what we decided to do, and that's why we partnered with clients, because we realized that, okay, we can't do a 100% sustainable packaging right now, but why not, like you said, neutralize what you can't. So that's why we decided that why not take part.
The starting point, right? The first step must be very, very easy. And after that, you can do 10, 12 different things. But at least start now, right? We have all the options to begin. And it's amazing how many options there are actually further down the value chain. Once you start that journey, you can actually start focusing on cutting too. Your own enterprise emissions by going renewable energy.
Exactly.
Storage facilities, and then electric.
I mean, there's a lot that you can do, but for a small brand or for a brand who's just starting up, everything may not be doable. So that's when you realize that what you can do, solve for that, and as you go down the line, you will figure out next steps.
And you don't have to do it all at the same time.
Exactly.
It's not aiming for perfect, right? It's just about getting started with the first few steps.
Right.
So when you think about the Indian consumer, though. This new generation climate consumer that's kind of being very vocal about the choices that they want to exercise. They're almost demanding from brands, hey, give us more sustainable choices, right? Give me more plastic positive choices. Give me more carbon positive choices. Within the next 5 years, what are the big behavior shifts you see there? Do you think people are becoming far more willing to pay a premium? People are willing to actually, go through the educational journey of becoming aware of like what sort of projects are doing this carbon neutralization, this plastic neutralization. So, or is it just a little fad right now?
No, I mean, I don't think it's a fad. People are genuinely becoming interested about sustainability initiatives. How they can contribute towards a sustainable environment. Like, for example, for us, it's also, we were a very new brand, and when we started getting, and like I mentioned earlier, we had clients integrated right from day one. So the first thing that people asked us was that, oh, you've participated in these initiatives so soon. I mean, that's a really, really good thing. And we saw a lot of people actually opting to participate in the client's project and opting for it. Which actually shows that people are genuinely interested about sustainability and about sustainability initiatives. I mean, there are these whole communities which are coming up who strongly believe in sustainability, and for that matter, there are people who don't use a product if it's not sustainable towards the environment. So that's the kind of consciousness that has come into people's mindset of late, and that's only going to grow over the years.
And there's a compounding effect of that too. If enough people do that, right? And then we demand that from the brands we buy from, the enterprises we work at, and then eventually even the government, right, within whose laws we live. That compounding effect of people saying, hey, we want better, we want more choice, more sustainable choices, it will compound. So brands are now starting to get on board. Large enterprises, slower, but also happening. What about the government? What do you think their role within this entire thing is? Do you have any hope there?
Of course, yeah. I mean, because like you said, right, that if more and more people, more and more brands start participating in these kind of initiatives, it's eventually going to come from the top as well. Like, for that matter, there are a lot of these smaller initiatives. I mean, to us it may seem that okay, a particular state government has banned plastic or not allowed plastic bags, but they're all small steps. They're all gradual steps towards a more sustainable environment that's happening from the government itself. Look, obviously, even they can't do everything in a day. I mean, it's a very large country that they have to address. But yeah, there are these steps which are happening at a small level, and obviously these are only going to increase over the years to come.
So you have hope in the government, brands, consumer brands, enterprises, and individuals.
Yeah.
And if you had to actually give a hierarchy to it and say, in who are you betting on over the next 5-6 years? Because we only have 5-6 years to solve this climate problem, right? If we don't, we're off a cliff. So in the next 5-6 years, who would you bet on? Which set of these stakeholders do you think is actually going to be the one that is the captain?
I think it starts from the consumer. The consumers need to be conscious about what they're using, about the kinds of brands that they're using, about the kind of products that they're using. It starts with them. And that's when consumers start asking or start looking for such products, there are going to be all of these set of new age brands who are coming up who will start adopting these sustainable practices. So that's going to be, because brands want to be consumer first these days. Like they want to solve problems for the consumer. They want to solve the needs for the consumer. So if the consumer asks for something, there are smaller brands, the new age brands who are going to, because they're all very fast to adopt. So they would be the first torchbearers of change. Obviously first is the consumer, then comes these new age brands. Traditional brands will gradually start following because they would also realize that this is something which they want. And gradually, when everything comes together, along with the support from the government, it's just going to be a big cycle, a big ecosystem of change which is going to come across.
That's a real movement right there. Starting with the people, then going to the brands, and the brands becoming partners and enablers for it. And then larger enterprises, traditional enterprises getting on.
I mean, you can't, enforcing is one thing. A government says that, stop this or stop that. That's enforcing, that's coming from the top. But as long as the consumer is not driven towards it, it's not going to bring about a change in the society.
Pull-based, right? Not push-based. We don't like doing stuff that is at the barrel of a gun, like push-based. Nobody likes being told what to do. But if we feel like we wanted to do it, we do it.
I mean, if you're anyways not using a plastic bag for shopping, you're using a cloth bag, and the government comes up with something that, plastic is banned in this particular state. It's just that, I was anyways not using it, and this is a really great step so that the others who are using it are also now discouraged to use it.
That's actually such a root core value for what we believe as a company, and I think overall, like how sustainability will become a default choice in society. It's if people want to do it, right? So we have to design incentives toward it.
Of course.
Only then will people actually absorb it and want to, build a better habit, brush twice a day, or like neutralize their order emissions, right? So what a wonderful thought. If this really does play out over the next 4 or 5 years, and we have this large set of stakeholders who get in on the challenge, we may actually have a shot at reversing climate change. True, thank you so much for a wonderful time with us today.
Thanks, Anirudh.
It's been a lovely conversation, and thank you for being such a great partner to clients.
Same here. I mean, thank you. Thanks a lot for partnering with us. even before we launched. So, I mean, that's something which we take real pride in, that we've partnered with sustainability projects even before launch. So thank you for being one of the first few partners in our journey. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope that we are able to build a truly sustainable oral care brand, a new age sustainable oral care brand in India.
That will become the default choice in society too. And I love the ambition of it, to start in a really what one would assume to be a very traditional industry of few toothpaste brands dominate the market. But you've still gone after that market, and you're gonna. It's like the David versus Goliath, right? You're going after a really large market, but then chipping away till the movement actually gets built with you.
Yeah.
Before you know it, hopefully brushing is going to be a far more fun experience.
Yeah.
We'll go from it being a painkiller to a bite.
Yes. Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Kavita. What a lovely conversation.
Thanks, Anirudh. It was a really pleasure chatting with you.